Hey, what's going on, everybody? We are live from Mindset Monday. I'm here with my co-host Dave, and today we're going to talk about new habits, new results. Why? Because it's the beginning of the year, right? Everybody is focused on what their goals are, or the new year, new me, and I don't buy into the new year, new me, right? I like the same me, just constantly improving, getting better, and doing more with the same. Okay, because sometimes when you set a big goal, you say, hey, I'm going to completely change this, and you go to change everything, right? You might do it for a little bit. You might do it for a few days. You might do it for a few weeks, maybe even a few months. But then usually the train falls off the track, right? Usually there's something that breaks that and then it reverts right back, right? So what I think is a stronger, better method, right, is look into new habits, right? And it doesn't have to be all at once. Look at the good habits. Continue those, do more of them. Figure out which habits you want to include. Maybe it's working out in the morning before you get to work. Maybe it's drinking 2 gallons of water or a gallon of water. Maybe it's not eating certain foods. Maybe it's not eating past a certain time in the day. Maybe it's saving X amount out of every paycheck, right? What are those habits that you can create that are going to serve you long time, like for a long time? Maybe it's something to do with charity. Okay, maybe it's volunteering. A couple hours a week in your community, helping people that need help, right? And then you do the same with the bad habits. I think this is where people kind of get sideways or get sidetracked, right? What are your bad habits? Is it doom scrolling? Are you constantly on your phone? I think the cell phone. Now that I'm into the smartphone, specifically the smartphone. I didn't think it was so bad when people had cell phones. Okay, I'm kind of dating myself here, but you know, I think I would go back to that old flip phone. Okay, I think about it often.
I go back to a pager.
I don't know if I go back to a pager. I wouldn't go back to a pager.
At least one that has voice to text.
Yeah, there you go. But the smartphone, I think, was is it's really bad for people, really bad. And so, what I would say is look at those bad habits. Like one of my bad habits, I would smoke probably 2 cigars a day.
Damn.
Yeah, 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 2 cigars a day. Well, because it's the only vice and only break I would get, right? And now I'm down to none. I'll have one maybe every 2 weeks. Okay, but I know that after that one, it's very easy for me to fall back into that, right? Super easy for me to say, all right, I'm going to start getting a box of cigars. And if I have a box of cigars and they're just sitting there, right? I don't have that discipline where I'm going to be like, all right, I can just have one today. No, that doesn't not how it works. So I know how I am personally, and I have to remove myself from that. Okay. So look at your life and what are the bad habits that you can eliminate and replace them with a good habit. And don't try to attack all of them at once, right? One at a time, at a time, at a time. And you'll be shocked at what a difference you will make and you will see in your productivity, in your life, in your happiness, in the level of peace that you have. All right, Dave, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah. I think, man, you got to come to the cold weather. I got a pile of cigars sitting over there. It's just too cold to go outside and puff on some of them right now. So that kind of keeps me away from a little bit. And the best cigar lounge here is probably like 20 minutes away. And it's like, do I want to kill drive time there and back and plus take an hour? But it's good. I always bring a computer. I'll sit there, and that's not even a vice for me, dude. And I know I'm getting a little sideways here. That's almost like therapeutic, right? It gets you out of the office a little bit. You sit there, you got your computer, you're puffing on one, man, and that's it. You go home. Like that to me, like if you want to talk about habits, that actually like switches my mind frame a little bit because I
Good.
try to do something a little different and out of the norm, but to continuously do that habit. Like because let's face it, dude, doing the same thing every day gets a little mundane, right? But it works, it gets done. And I've actually done that a lot. I'm glad you brought up the cigar thing, a little indirect pace here. but I'll actually go if I know I have a time block to where I don't have a phone call or I don't really have to speak to somebody. I will take my stuff. I will go to the lounge. I will take in my notepad, my computer, a set of headphones, and a cup of coffee, and that's it. I'll go buy a stick, and I sit down, and nobody bothers me. That's the coolest thing, man. I go to the lounge, and that's it. It gets a change of pace. I know that I'm going to get my tasks done, my critical tasks, or part of that equation while I'm there. I know it gives me about an hour, right?
Yeah.
And it's awesome, dude. Like it breaks up everything that you're doing. It's something I enjoy, and it's something I know I have to get done. So just a little bonus there, for you guys. But one of the things that I've been doing, if you want to talk about getting in good habits, and this is pretty crazy. I didn't believe this, but I looked it up, that Friday was actually National Quitting Habit Day. You believe that? Is that how sad we become now as a society, that we actually, like, this is a freaking thing? Like, I couldn't believe it. I literally looked it up. It says the second Friday of the new year is National Habit Quitting Day. That's freaking unbelievable, man. We got to do it.
Well, I'll tell you this. When I do it, I'm usually outside, right? Okay, so I will puff on one, take calls, and it doesn't interrupt any part of my day. It's just a nice little break, okay? Yeah. But the reason why is you have to know yourself, right? So if you want to get better, one of the first things is you have to be honest with yourself. You have to really know yourself. Sometimes that's, it's a little scary to dig deep. I know that I'm very intense and I'm all in, and there's nothing. I usually go 120% at everything. Okay. I have a very addictive personality, believe it or not. And the biggest shift I've ever had in my life was once I realized that, I started replacing some of the bad habits with really, really good habits.
Yeah.
Right. And it happened over time. And so now I'm addicted to good habits, working out, playing hockey. The reason why I don't want to go puff on 2 cigars a day, right? 3 cigars a day. And I've hit 3,
Hey, don't feel bad. Michael Jordan smoked 6.
Yeah, dude, I get you, but I want to play hockey, right? I can't do that with a diminished lung capacity. It don't work like that, right? I feel the difference. That's usually the level of disgust that I get to when I have to, when I know I need to make a shift or a change. It's impacted something I like to do more, right? And then you sit down and you reflect. Now whether the habits you're trying to get rid of are financial habits, eating habits, maybe called lazy habits, okay? And what are the good habits you replace them with? Obviously, exercise, a hobby, okay? And usually a hobby that involves something physical, something mental, something spiritual, okay? If you can replace your bad habits with hobbies or habits that are in those 4 areas of your life is going to drastically and dramatically improve. Right. It's just a matter of sticking with it and not saying, hey, I'm going to try to do all of this at once. Okay. Because doing all that at once is not easy. Right. You want, for a habit to form, they say you have to do it 21 days in a row. All right. I would tell you it's probably a little bit, in my mind, it's a little bit more.
Yeah.
All right. What else you have on that, Dave?
I think, I think the most important thing, and you kind of touched on it before, good habits, the bad habits, but audit them, audit everything, audit what you think is good. Like, don't just focus on the bad, but audit what you think is bad and good. And then a couple ways of, and I've actually been implementing this into me is habit stacking. And you can do this both ways. You can do it to get rid of bad habits. You could do it to obtain good habits. So I'll give you an example that worked for me, over the last year or so, getting kind of in touch with my spirituality in the morning. So what does that good habit equate to? Well, that equates to my gym time in the morning, right? Like when I'm up at 4 a.m. and nobody else is around, instead of sitting there, getting pre-workout, getting a little bit of water intake and kind of, trying to get my body prepared to go break it down some more. Well, okay, that doesn't take long, but you draw it out. You sit there, you read something stupid on your phone. Well, instead you take that, dive into the word, right? Get into that spiritual time even more. It's one thing to say your prayers and so forth in the morning, but that doesn't take a lot of time. And that actually formed as well. But diving into the word a little bit, reading that, I associate that's now part of my overall morning routine. And guys, this is coming from somebody that's never had that. Like, I've never had that in my life. So I don't want to hear somebody, oh man, so you should be there. Listen, man, it was never brought up. It was never part of my family or part of like any culture, right? Within my own four doors. So making that, I'm stacking that with a positive habit. Okay.
Yeah.
How do you get rid of a bad habit? Well, you don't want to stack a good habit with a bad habit, but I look at it as a reward system. Okay. If I know I'm going to do a bad habit, if there's something like I want to get or obtain, or even worse, pay something, right? Hey, if I do this bad habit, I'm going to put in a jar $20, right? Well, okay, it may or may not sound like a lot, but what happens if you consistently still do that bad habit? That $20 could turn into 200 in no time. It could turn into 2,000. Shit, it could turn into 20,000. You know what I mean? So habit stacking the good and the bad ones, because you're going to build upon the good ones and you're going to tear down the bad one. But it doesn't happen unless you audit that stuff. And one cool thing, you talk about the phone, and then I'll end it on this. I don't know if obviously this thing's been listening to me, but just scrolling stuff. There's this cool little device called the Brick. And you set your phone up on the Brick. It's a little magnet thing. You can hide it wherever you want, right? In your house, office, desk, car, whatever. And you set it up on your phone like it connects to an app, and you select all the stuff that gives you shiny object syndrome or creates bad habits of scrolling. And guess what? When that time goes off and blocks you, your phone won't allow you to take it, right? So what do you have to do in order to override it? You have to, the Brick is almost like a QR code, right? You got to go find the Brick wherever you put it, which means you have to intentionally go and get it and swipe your phone over it to unlock all those things that you put in there. And it's like $50.
Yeah, that's not bad. I like that. Here's what I'll tell you guys. And just this is where you start, okay? Because we went over a lot today. This is the final word. Write a list of the habits that you want to break that no longer serve you. Write them down. Write a list of the habits that you want to replace them with. Go one at a time. All right. When you feel like you can add another one and drop another one, do it. Add another one, drop another one, do it. All right. And stick with those. All right. I hope this helped you guys. We'll catch you on Financial Fitness Friday. Take care.
Be great, Joe.